Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second shelf on this very cold Wednesday. I have a book haul for you, and if you're watching booktube videos, you will see that most of these hauls now are called the last book haul of the year. Well, I can't promise you that because it's only the 28th of November, so I might still buy some books in December. But anyway, I have 5 books to show you today, and we start right off with a book I already read, so I will talk about it more in the next recent reads, and that is this one, Blackwater by Joyce Carol Oates, published in 1992. Joyce Carol Oates doesn't need an introduction. She's one of the most prolific, still living American authors today. And Blackwater is a short little book, a novella, set in the early 1990s, but referring to an incident, the Chappaquiddick incident with then Senator Ted Kennedy, the famous accident, where he drove his car off a bridge into the water, into the river, and he was accompanied by a young woman. Ted Kennedy saved himself, and the woman died. This depicts this incident in a way, but transfers it to a later time because the Chappaquiddick incident took place in 1969. And the only thing I will say is now, 2 things actually. It was a buddy read with Sean over at Sean the Book Maniac, and we both loved it. So I will talk more about this brilliant little novella in a recent reads. The next recent reads I will probably film next Sunday. The next book I bought is a backlist book from one of my favorite authors that I haven't read yet, and that is Lionel Shriver's A Perfectly Good Family, published in 2007. Like I said, it's one of the few books of her that I haven't read yet. You know how much, if you're following my channel, you know how much I love Lionel Shriver's work, especially her novel Too Much for That, about the medical problems in society with the family who is severely ill, or members of the family who are severely ill. Anyway, and this one is about siblings fighting over an inheritance. So you have a wealthy couple, and they die, and they leave a mansion to a big mansion, obviously, to their 3 children, 2 brothers and a sister, and they all meet in that mansion, and obviously it's war. I can imagine already Lionel Shriver's typical, satirical, dark, humorous style when I think of siblings fighting over an inheritance, so I'm really looking forward to reading this one. The third book I bought and I want to show you is sort of, for me at least, a last try. And I'm talking about Bel Canto by American author Ann Patchett, first published in 2001. And now, why I'm saying it's a last try, because Ann Patchett and I want to love her work. I love the fact that she has, established an independent bookstore in Nashville where there wasn't a bookstore. I always watch her sessions, readings, when she has other authors in her salon 58 or whatever it's called on YouTube. So I want to love her work as well, and so far I didn't. I read The State of Wonder last year. I think it was a buddy read with Olive from a book Olive, but I'm not sure whether it was with Olive, and I just didn't like it. I read her memoir, Truth and Beauty, which I thought was horrendously bad. She talks about a very sick friend of hers. But this one, Bel Canto, is her most famous novel. It won the then called Orange Prize for Fiction, the Women's Prize for Fiction in 2002. And I thought, I'll give this a try. Maybe I finally love her work. Bel Canto is set in an unnamed, fictitious, I guess, South American country where you have a famous soprano singing for the birthday of an ambassador in the embassy. and then a gang of terrorists come in, and they take all the guests and the ambassador and the president or whoever is there hostage. And the book is about this situation, being captured, being confined to a certain surroundings. Sounds interesting, but all of her books sound interesting. State of Wonder sounded interesting, and I didn't like it. But I'll give this one a try. If anybody out there wants to buddy read it with me, to maybe, take me to the road of loving Anne Patchett's work, please let me know down in the comments. Or if you have read the book and really loved it, or any other work by Anne Patchett you really love. I don't know. Sometimes you just have these authors, at least I do, whom I really, really want to love because I like their, media presence or something else, and I just can't get into it. But Bel Canto, fingers crossed that I will love it. The next book is not only by an author I love, but I also love her work, and that is Lavinia by Ursula Le Guin, published in, I think, 2007, but I will leave the correct date down below in any case. And of course, you probably all know Ursula Le Guin. She died recently, and she is most famous for her science fiction work. And I absolutely love her science fiction or sci-fi fantasy work. But this one is different. It's a retelling of a Greek myth. Lavinia was the daughter of a king in Latium in central Italy, where we now would say central Italy. And Virgil's story of Aeneas after the Trojan War and his wanderings, and he leads the Trojans to Latium, and then he fights to win the king's daughter Lavinia. In this epic poem, Lavinia is not really, she's not speaking, she doesn't have a voice. So this is a retelling from a female perspective. I'm not always loving retellings. Margaret Atwood's retelling of the Odyssey, the Penelope, from the perspective of Penelope, I really liked. I like Miller's books, Circe. Sometimes. Anyway, it depends, of course, on the execution. But because I like Ursula Le Guin so much, I thought I'd give this one a try. Also because I'm curious how Ursula Le Guin, what she does, how she writes when she wanders off her familiar territory of sci-fi and fantasy. And I thought, besides that, I thought the book is beautiful in this very sort of light greenish color. So when I saw it in the bookstore, I thought, well, I haven't read it yet. I need to read it. I bought it. And the last book I want to show you is nonfiction, because after all, it's nonfiction November. So I, of course, also had to buy a nonfiction book in November. And I wanted to buy this book for quite some time. It's this one. Whoops. Sisters in... I'm not good with this. Anyway, Sisters-in-Law by Linda Hirschman, published in 2015. Linda Hirschman is an American lawyer, and she publishes also, popular non-fiction work about the law. And this one is, of course, about Sandra O'Connor and RBG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Sandra O'Connor was the first Supreme Court justice ever in the United States, and Ruth Bader Ginsburg was the second. Sandra O'Connor retired. Ruth Bader Ginsburg is still on the court. She's now in her 80s. And fingers crossed that she will live for quite some years. Because if she dies now, we will have the current president will have the opportunity to nominate yet another justice. And we don't want that. At least I don't. I thought the idea of combining the story of these two women was fascinating. I don't know that much about Sandra O'Connor. I'm more an RBG fangirl. I think Ruth Bader Ginsburg is fascinating as a lawyer. I mean, if you follow my channel, you know that I've worked in law for a long time. So I'm a lawyer. So her you know, the way her excellent mind, she gained fame in her early years as a lawyer, especially because of anti-discrimination cases, where she wanted to change the law. There's a movie coming out, I think in December, about her, A Question of Sex or something, because it's about sexual gender discrimination. So I think she's a fascinating figure. She is, there are many interviews with her on YouTube. I think she's not easy to listen to because she is very slow in her argumentation, in her speech. Sometimes I get a bit uncomfortable even to listen to her, but if you listen to her, she's just brilliant. And Sandra O'Connor was as well. So this idea of a double biography really spoke to me, and like I said, it came out in 2015, so I had my eye on it for a long time, and I found this secondhand, and I'm really looking forward. It's quite a chunk, so it's quite heavy also, but I'm really looking forward to diving into this one. So these were the 5 books that I bought recently in November, and we shall see whether it was indeed the last book haul of 2018. I hope you have enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know down in the comments whether you read any of the books, or whether you bought any books recently that you want to recommend to me, and I'll see you all soon in my next video. Bye-bye.